Hi, for those who are watching, we are nearing the end of this year, and with it, we have just a couple, or maybe just two more mangas to
Hi, for those who
discuss.
are watching, we are nearing the end of this year, and with it,
Oops,
we
sorry
have.
about.
Yes,
Sorry about that. I just wanted to confuse you a little bit with my science. No, I'm just kidding. I put up my YouTube account and I forgot to shut off the sound. So, yeah, that was awkward, but I guess that's kind of how we can describe this manga, but not awkward bad, no, awkward good. That sometimes the situation that they end up in can really be one of comedy. But to finish what I'm trying to say before I actually got interrupted by myself, I was trying to say to you all, as this year is ending, we will wrap up it with a couple of more live stream discussions. However, more of the fact is that there's just one more manga discussion before we head into my final two, or was it two? Well, if we do not count the final one of the discussion, we have only two left after that one. So maybe three in total. Okay, enough about that. We're not meant to talk about that here. This is the Dr. Stone discussion. For me, the angry anime fan, the despair reviewer. And, well, let's just say Dr. Stone has really been, for me, a gem. A hidden gem that I really like that I read last year. And for me, I have enjoyed the road that we've been on now also. Is it though a masterpiece? Well, that's the thing. I don't feel like it is a masterpiece, but it is enjoyable after a while when you give it a chance. One of the strongest things that you need to know about Dr. Stone, though, is the fact that the manga artist and the storyteller are not one and the same. They are actually two different people. The guy who does now, let's see here if I got their no, let's see here. I need to make sure I got their, well, their jobs in correct, because, well, I have been wrong before. Let's see here. The author is Inagaki Richu, which is the same guy who made I Shield 21. And actually, if you look in the story of the situation, I think that it's very true. The artist is Boichi. He made a, a well, not a violent one, but a Sunken Rock, I think it was called. So yeah, the artist is the drawer, right, and the author is the storyteller. The stranger thing is though that people tend to ask Boichi the questions when he is not the storyteller. But yeah, there is a fusion of both Aishildo and Sunken Rock art. Of course, there is more references in Sunken Rock than there is of well, Aishildo. So so the story has been going on for a while now, or not for a while now, but we have even been confirmation of an enemy now, as was about time. However, I'm not very pleased with the voice cast. Don't get me wrong, the voice cast will be good, but I was expecting more newcomers. The only newcomer is Yusihara's voice. The rest are actually pretty known, and that was actually a slight uh, disappointment for me. So I hope that if when the anime continues, that we get some new n- rookies in the story. Because when we have these hidden gems, I prefer rookies over well-known veterans. To be honest, because that way they can spread a little bit bigger. Okay, now on to the thing is that Dr. Stone of 2018 started with a chapter called 42, which appropriately enough also began to explain the story on how this Ishigami village was founded. And the chapter ended with the hot air balloon, which actually was pretty appropriate, meaning that this is how they have come so far, and a lot have happened this year. Has it been a good ride or has it been a slow ride? Well, I granted I didn't sing the highest of praise in the reviews I made of them, although I don't know exactly. I don't go back and watch my previous reviews, so I'm not really so sure what I have ranked in what I have ranked, you know. However, I can say the cell phone journey did feel a little slow, I have to admit. But when it was finished, it was actually enjoyable to go back and, and read it because, well, then you expect to know what happened, and there was even time for so many other characters to have a chime to it all. And then we happened to the Stone War. The biggest worry, though, for me, that was when Senku and Chrome, together with Gen, was willing to become villains of the world. Sorry, in order to, well, make sure that there were no bloodshed. I didn't really like that situation. However, it was strangely solved pretty quickly. So I guess in the end, everyone was forgiven for it. But the Stone War situation, where the manga slowed down a little bit, I had to admit. I mean, granted, we got more in the emotional uh, area, but it did have some comedy, especially of that paper scene where Senku once again showed his ingenious with the fact that he can, together with another mixture, he could make a carbon shield, and even decided to make a tank out of it. And also is the fact that although I didn't really like Tsukasa at the beginning because I felt like his, well, thoughts of it all were the true naive. In the end, his entire rage in his character made perfect sense when we got to the end of, well, you know, when we got to the end of the Stone War arc. Mostly because it turns out that Tsukasa's rage against grown-ups is most of the fact that no grown-up could save his terminally, well, not terminally ill, his brain-dead sister. And also is the fact that in order to make sure that no one took her off the tubes, he had to he had to work out and become a very feared celebrity, or maybe not feared, but a very loved celebrity. But he didn't really care about the fame. All he cared about was having the money for his sister, so she would not be taken off the plug. But also seeing the fact that he jumped into the greediness of the adults in when earning money, it was no wonder he got very twisted in his values when he was revived. And also he thought when he revived he no longer had a sister, so for him it didn't really matter what path he took. He had lost everything, and he had no intention of becoming a martial artist again. So for him, making him the undisputed king of it all was the only thing he could find meaning in. So I guess in the end his entire character made sense, even though it wasn't really the best of it all. The real antagonist of this arc was Hyuga, which, and by the way, Hyuga was an annoying villain, and I'm not saying that he was a badly written villain. He was annoying because, well, in the end, I never really understood on why he did it, why he did it. I could understand Tsukasa, but Hyuga never was perfectly clear for me. For me, it seemed that Hyuga was just that standard villain, the guy who just wanted to have power and would do anything in his power to get that power. But it was never explained on why he was such an expert in the spear. I mean, granted, however, it was never explained why Ukyo, another guy with the high ears, well, it was explained why he had good ears, but it was never explained on why he suddenly decided to become an archer in this stone world. Was archer some no? Was archery a hobby of his in the previous world? It was never explained, to be honest. But I guess we will never really do find out. So Hyuga, why he was such an expert in the spear, was never explained. Maybe he practiced it a lot. And also, why did was he such low apathetic? I mean, is this the end of Hyuga's situation? Well, he is imprisoned now. Spoiler alert. However, I wonder, are we really finished with Hyuga's storyline? I'm not so sure about that. Mostly because we need to find out in a flashback why Hyuga is the one who he is. And Homura, well, she was the only one who was loyal to Hyuga, and that was never explained either. It's clear that she has a crush on Hyuga, and Hyuga probably don't even care because after all he is who he is. But why does she have a crush on Hyuga? It's clear she's a gymnast and a very silent one that even Ukyo cannot track her down. So besides her past as a gymnast, how come she knows Hyuga so much? Is it possible that Hyuga helped her out once and she fell in love with him about that? So yeah, there was some missing parts of it all. But then after Hyuga was defeated, things really started to get up again with a new promising new arc about going around the world or going to the other side of the world to track down the source of the petrification, because this is really exciting. Most of all, we do not know why the petrification happened. There's so many theories even in the manga out there how it happened, and now we were really wondering, is it really that simple? I mean, granted, Dr. Stone is not completely realistic, although it does go in pretty big detail when it came to science. Not that I know anything about it. However, now we're getting into a situation on this petrification is just pure fiction. So how could it have happened? And now we're probably going to get into the area of fictional science. Or are we? It's not exactly clear yet, but it's what is clear is that getting into the storyline of finding out the source of the petrification, now that screams exciting. Another thing we can talk about is the fact that we have been introduced to a lot of characters, each with a very distinctive, I want to say personality, but also in art, so to speak. Ukyo, the guy, one of the few guys who was wearing pants, and also a very expert hearing. It was not clear if it was on Senku's side, but it seemed in the end he was, because he just didn't want any death. So I guess he was a good guy. We got Nikki, the very rough Hilda-like girl, who at the same time could be an Amazon beauty. Is not exactly sure though why she is so muscular. In fact, a lot of the people that Tsukasa were revived was thanks to this reporter, this very sexy reporter, who, by the way, when she cried, she looked absolutely adorable. I'm a little sucker for cry cute girls. However, what I do not want to know is how old is she, and how come she was such an expert reporter at that age? Even Ukyo, how was he an expert in submarine at that age? More than that, we don't even know the reporter's age. But it's clear she's a very big fan of Tsukasa. Very likely Tsukasa knew of her when she was interviewing him, and he decided that she could be useful. And it's clear that it's thanks to her that a lot of people that Tsukasa revived in order to help of his empire. So yeah, I mean, can we see a little bit more on these people? Because now we're building a ship of Dr. Stone, and it's clear that Senku is gonna take a couple of team. And does that mean we're gonna switch from one scene to another? Because it's clear not everyone is gonna go on that journey. Someone needs to be here and watch it with Mirai. I mean, Tsukasa, after all, since he's dead in cold slumber, as they await a way to maybe save him. But are we gonna switch from one scene to another and have some other problem? Because I said before, Hyuga's imprisoned. But I do not think the threat of Hyuga is done yet. But with Senku gone, who can defeat him? Well, we'll see. I mean, Senku didn't really defeat him hand-to-hand combat. He defeated him through science and trickery. But you know what I mean. Another thing about that make Dr. Stone very enjoyable is the fact that it has a lot of characters, and many of these characters are very enjoyable to watch and see. Even though they may not be exactly on my top list, Senku's character, I mean, he is just so slick and so funny. He's arrogant, yet at the same time he cares. His best friend Yuzihara may have a pretty flat personality, but she's an expert sawmaker, and she is shy yet very sweet, and it's very adorable when she feels, oh, why do I have to do this? His best friend Taiju is basically a very big-hearted fellow, so it's nice. Ashiguro Gen I did not like his character at the beginning, but he finally grew on me this year. I guess in the end we saw a little bit more of his hidden side. Kohaku, well, yeah, I like her. She's sexy and she kicks ass. Although I feel like, unfortunately, she has been sidetracked a lot this arc. And then when it introduced the Sukasa's army, Ukyo's pacifistic personality, Niki's strange personality, and even this new character, Ryusu, that they revived, the guy who is going to help them to travel across, well, the fields of water. I mean, that didn't make sense. I mean, I'm not so sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but for some reason I do find him enjoyable so far. So I like that. I mean, even his intro was so funny. Once again, the world is mine. Now, if that doesn't establish an arrogant person, I don't know what does. However, Dr. Stone do have some flaws. It's noted that Dr. Stone is fast but also pretty slow. It has a lot of making of this science thing that makes the chapters pretty slow in some instances, and that can be pretty bummer. And also, while Dr. Stone have a lot of characters, as I said before, we do not see all the characters all the time, and some characters are annoying, like Yo. So far, he is pretty annoying. It doesn't help that his clothing is so disgusting for me. Chrome is enjoyable, although I don't see him so much this time yet. And Magma, well, Magma has shown that he may not be the antagonist, but he can be pretty arrogant in his arrogance. And then the former chief, we haven't seen so much about him after he made Senku the new chief. And also, now we finally know where the story is heading. We are going to find the cause of the petrification. But it's not exactly clear yet if Dr. Stone is going to exist for a long time or a short time. For me, Dr. Stone does not feel like a lifelong manga. Maybe 200 chapters or so, maybe even just 150, and then it will end. Because I feel like this is not meant to be a long journey. And even if it's going to be a long journey, are we going to enjoy it as much as we do now? Because as I said before, the source of this trouble was the petrification. Now Senku is going to try to find it out. Yes, that adventure itself can be a very long saga. But if he does find out the source of the petrification, saves Tsukasa's life, then what? Are we really going to see them rebuild society? Because it's worth noting that these are kids and they are using real life, meaning that they will age. So rebuilding society can't be that fast, even with such unrealistic, good skilled characters. So yeah, I mean, maybe the manga will end with societies reviving, and Senku is passed on in legend as the guy who revived society. Although it's not exactly clear on how he plans on reviving the rest of the world, but I guess we'll see, right? We'll see what will happen. He may very well just use something else. Maybe he will make a reverse petrification beam that'll make him, reverse everything in the world. So, well, everyone will get unpetrified. But I guess we'll see, right? I mean, I do feel like it would be pretty bad to revive every single human in the world, but Senku has a big heart. If he intends to do that, he intends to do that. So, may very well not like the end of where Dr. Stone is heading, but so far I've liked the journey that we've been on so far. So the biggest thing about Dr. Stone is that you don't have to enjoy science to enjoy this thing. It's granted it's giving us a lot of information, but the way they do it is actually very creative and enjoying fun. So I would recommend for children to read, because if they are wondering how this makes sense, the way the Senku explains it makes it a little bit more enjoyable to know science, even if you don't know science. The characters, as I said before, the characters are what drives Dr. Stone the most. And it's clear that by the end of 2019, we're gonna have a very selected few characters to follow. Because now, if they manage to build the ship, find the oil, and head out to adventure, Senku's gonna have an expedition team. And who is gonna be on that team? Well, Taiju maybe, because it's his best friend and also Muscles. Chrome because I need a sidekicks. Sidekick science. Ryusei because he's the only one who with the skills to take them to the other side. But after that, things get a little bit more unsure. Maybe he will take Ruri because Ruri is a storyteller, and I think she wants to pass down the story on how Ishigami Senku saved the world. Kowaku is very muscular, even though she doesn't look like that, and she may be useful. But there has been some hints that maybe she will stay behind so she can watch over Tsukasa together with Mirai. And Yuzihara is very good with textile things, but I don't think she is useful in anything else. So maybe she will stay behind in order to also pull back all the statues that Tsukasa broke and also make clothing for people. Yo will definitely not be taken with. He is useless. Magma is all muscles, but he's also ambitious. So who knows? The silver brother, the gold and silver brothers. Well, I don't know. Rules are rules. Guy will follow. The other guy's a dirty coward. Suka feels too young. So yeah. But the former village chief, he looks strong. But he is the former village chief and one of the few grown-ups with an own to handle. So I'm not really sure. Nikki is also pretty strong, but I'm not so really sure if she is following material about that. Ukyu has the ultimate ears, and that may be very useful. And he's a very good archer. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, granted, Kowaku is the ultimate eyes. That's another reason why she would be pretty useful. So, whoever will follow, I don't know. I don't think Ashigiru Gen will be followed, because Ashigiru Gen is very likely Senku's left-hand man, while Taiyu is his right-hand man. He's making Taiyu do all the heavy works, but Ashigiru Gen is his trickery and intelligent equal. Although he doesn't know anything about science, he do know how to manipulate people. And I do think a trickster like Ashigiru Gen is needed to stay behind. Otherwise, he cannot control all these, these muscle-headed people. The reporter definitely will stay behind. She knows a lot of people, but I don't think she is useful in anything like this. And so yeah, that's basically those people. It's not exactly sure on who is the most suitable material to follow with, but I guess we'll see eventually, right? What else is there to say about Dr. Stone? Well, again, the art is also wonderful, a little bit dirty. We don't see any nudity, although we do see very closely that a lot of the men and women are dressed pretty, openly. But it is Stone Edge, Stone R H. Sorry, I slur my words. Although Yuzahara did invent clothes, it's clear no one is gonna wield it though. So yeah. And then what else? I mean, Dr. Stone is not perfect. It takes a little time for you to enjoy it, especially in the beginning. It's a lot of information dump, but for people that read Hunter x Hunter, I'm just gonna take off my glasses to you, but not right now, and say, wait, you like Hunter x Hunter, but you don't like Dr. Stone? Because Hunter x Hunter has nothing but explanation. So for me, if you like explanation, you can handle Dr. Stone. And the characters is what drives the story in Dr. Stone. The story itself can sometimes feel a little underwhelming and a little bit out there, but it is a manga, mind you. Reality cannot always be that clear to us. What else? The biggest flaw of Dr. Stone is maybe that sometimes the story just feels a little bit bland. We don't really know where it's heading until now. And some characters, while enjoyable, can also be pretty insufferable because this is the standard of it all. And how the build up can be pretty slow. But I will still give Dr. Stone of this year an 8 out of 10. And that's basically what I have to say about Dr. Stone. Not so very much other than that. What are your thoughts on Dr. Stone? Have you read it this year? And did you feel like it has been a blast? Well, you can give me your thoughts if you have any.